No fault found removals are a real headache in aircraft maintenance. They chew up time and resources. No fault found removals account for 30 to 35% of all units sent out for repair. Some airlines put it as high as 40 to 60% of all reported component failures. That has an impact.
There's a lot of hidden costs involved in no fault founds that a lot of people don't see up front. A lot of times these airlines have clauses in their contracts that if they pull a unit and it's no fault found, they get charged a no fault found fee. They have also the costs involved in shipping. You also take into account that a reduction in spares inventory. You take a chance of causing a delay because you don't have adequate spares.
The aviation industry has been looking closely at how to reduce no fault found removals. One airline has made a habit of stomping down the industry average.
Hi, I'm Paul, and I want to talk to you about the hole for troubleshooting process. Well, in 2003, after going to the AMC and listening to Delta presentation on hole for troubleshooting, I think they call it SOS, we opted to revamp our hole for troubleshooting that we had at WestJet. We had a small program here, but it wasn't really a process. It was just a couple of guys dealing with parts.
You know, they took a look at a process that's very basic, and let's say, how can we make this smarter?
The process itself is not really anything special. It's just getting the right flow of events happening at the same time.
And they've been able to reduce their no fault found rate down to about 14%, which in this industry is pretty much unheard of.
When a part comes off a WestJet airplane, the mechanic can designate it to be held for troubleshooting to see whether or not the problem was fixed.
If it fixes the aircraft, then great. Then they turn around, they send the unit back to the vendor for repair.
We basically confirm the fault, confirm the fix on the airplane to the box we've replaced.
If it doesn't fix the aircraft, then they know that the unit they pulled off wasn't at fault. They could put that back into the spares pool.
So how does it work?
So the mechanic on the floor just has to check a box, and that's all he's got to do. And then that initiates the process for that part to be held. And when he brings it back to stores in their process look at that box. If it's checked yes, then they put it on a special shelf and I deal with that part. If it's not checked, or if it's blank, or if it's checked no, the part is automatically sent out for repair.
What makes WestJet's hold for troubleshooting process so successful is the detailed record keeping and analysis that reliability puts into it.
They've got one person that'll kind of analyze the situation, take a look at the write-up.
When I get a box that's held for troubleshooting, I pull up the history for that box.
Let's analyze these things. Why did it come off?
So in this case, it is a sensor.
Are there any certain circumstances that would have caused it to come off for no reason?
And this part has very little history. It was installed in July of 2011 and removed in January of 2012. It accumulated 1,800 hours, so it's not a very old part.
Parts are normally held for 10 days.
It was removed on the 31st of January, so it's due for review on the 10th of February, and I'll put 10th of February in there because I'll need that information. Different boxes get treated differently also. Like if I have an EEC that's on hold for troubleshooting, we have very little spare EECs because it's a very expensive box. Instead of holding it for 10 days, I'll only hold it for a few days and confirm with our engine department if the repeating codes are happening still or if that fixed the problem. There's certain boxes that are treated differently than others.
So they put the human element into this rather basic program, and you get much better results.
As he goes through the history, Paul keeps an eye out for rogue components.
For a rogue, we won't hold it. We'll gather as much information as we possibly can to explain why it's a rogue component, and we'll send it out to either get exchanged or sent out for advanced testing and not sent back no fault found.
Paul also keeps a lookout for cases where multiple parts are pulled to fix the same problem.
I have an APU start power converter and a start converter unit from the same airplane. This morning when I came, there was only the start converter unit. This one came after. That's telling me that replacing this box didn't fix the problem, and they had to change another box later on today or yesterday. So one of these two boxes is probably going to be made serviceable once we tally up all our data.
See, that little bit of human intervention makes this whole process more robust.
They're fairly expensive boxes, so that's going to save us a good amount of money.
Sometimes it happens that a box is sent back no fault found, but then it pops up with the same problem again.
So if the previous vendor that we sent it to sent it back to us no fault found, and it went on an airplane, and it failed shortly after, and the mechanic held it for troubleshooting, I noticed that.
Paul sends it back to the vendor and lets them know that the box still has a confirmed problem.
If they can't fault it and we know it's the box, then I'll pull up all the history of that box. I'll pull up all the airplanes it came off of in the past, what's happened to those airplanes. If I have a chance, I'll talk to the guys on the floor and get more detailed defect descriptions and send all that information to them. So that prevents them from sending us a no fault found back for the second time. It forces them to take it a step further in the troubleshooting.
The process actually makes it easier for vendors because they have a single point of contact for information.
So they have a focal point now of a person to talk to that deals with all boxes. Instead of not knowing who to deal with, the rotable controls, trying to find out who to talk to, they know who to talk to.
The process really starts paying off when reliability can show that replacing a part did not fix a problem, and so that box does not have to be sent out for repair. It can be made serviceable.
When I make it serviceable, I need to explain to the inspectors why I believe it's to be made serviceable. I would make a note here instead that would state after the part was replaced, the system continued having problems. Replacing this part did not fix the issue. Again, the inspector has the final word on it. He'll take my information, he'll take his knowledge, and he'll make a call. Most of the times, I'd say 99% of the times, they'll agree with my information and they'll make it serviceable. But there has been incidences in the past where they opted to send it out anyways due to their knowledge and hands-on experience with that specific component. And that's always welcome. There's nobody that gets chastised for sending a part out if you think it needs to go out, even if it's just to feel comfortable. You know.
The actual process doesn't take much time, but the benefits add up.
We typically hold probably about 20% of parts, and out of those 20% that are held, about 1 out of 4 parts is returned to service. So that saves us 1 no fault found charge for every 4 parts being held. I don't look at the warranty side of it. I assume every part has a cost to it because you send it out to, even if it's under warranty, if the box for some reason was the wrong box removed and you send it out, they have to open the box, they remove cards, they're doing tests all over. They can't fault it, they put it all back together. They might induce a problem by breaking a connection or connector or something in the box. So you don't want to open a box that's serviceable. But when you look at industry standards being 30 to 35% no fault founds, and you look at ours being, what was it, last year was 11%, and in 2010 it was 15%. Face it, you know, we're looking at a lot of money saved just by that small percentage of no fault founds. You know, it's half of industry standards. In a week, I probably work an hour on hold for troubleshooting. So in a year, we're looking at 52 hours worth of work. It basically pays for my wage, and there's still money left over to probably buy me a treat if they're nice enough.
Any airline maintenance operation can put together a hold for troubleshooting process.
I think the biggest thing is to keep it simple, not overcomplicated. There's not much changed in everybody else's job except for reliability. Reliability does all the legwork and makes the call. The mechanic on the floor, all he has to do is check a box. So we're not asking him to go above and beyond what he's already doing or change the way he's doing things. The stores person, all he has to do is put the box on the shelf. So again, there's not much change for him. So you get them to buy into stuff a lot easier if you're not asking them to do all sorts of things.
As I went through every step and every process, I understood exactly what was happening and the big picture of why we were doing it as we went through it.
You don't have to be a rocket scientist to be brilliant.
Simplicity.
It's detailed, it's analytical, and it is brilliant. It saves us money.
You know, you can take something that's as basic as a quarantine program. As long as you put a little bit of smarts, a little bit of effort into it, you can enhance it, and they've done that. They've actually taken something that's so simple and they've put just a little bit more effort into it, and they made it much more robust.
WestJet's Hold for Troubleshooting process, a model for the industry.